So this is part 3 of the video where I'm making the aluminum battery box, which is seen in back. I've already made this. I'm going to set it aside. I have these two pieces of 1/4 inch 6061 flat bar that I'm going to use to make this rectangle. And now I notice that I didn't have these cut. So I'm going to cut some of those and then make that rectangle. Now I'm going to be prepping all of these because I'm going to make 2 rectangles. So that's really straightforward. Now I'm cleaning everything with acetone. So here's my settings for welding on the 1/4 inch flat bar. AC, foot pedal, no pulse. I'm not using pulse today. This is not valid because I'm using a foot pedal. My pre-flow is 0.8 seconds. My post-flow is 8 seconds. My max current is turned up all the way, 210 amps. My balance, it says Pro, 75%. My frequency is 120 Hertz, which is what Miller calls Pro. So that's my settings. I also have 15 CF8 pure argon, and I'm using 2% lanthanated tungsten, sharpened to a 30-degree angle and blunted at the tip, and a number 6 standard cup. So today's job is really easy because I'm just making these rectangles, and I beveled the 1/4 inch bar a little bit, but now that I'm fitting it up, I wish I would have beveled it more. So right now I'm getting set up for a tack weld, and I'm just making sure that these are perpendicular to each other. These clamps will be in my way a little bit, but obviously I want to clamp it down while I do the tack welds, otherwise it would want to warp. This is what I have. I'm going to tack weld it. So I think this seems like a pretty easy job. It's vertical. I've got my steel back up here, like I always do, so the aluminum doesn't wash out and blow a big hole. I know that works a little as a heat sink, which would limit penetration on the back side. And so, like I say, right now I'm tacking it. Whenever I TIG weld, I always forget one thing. Sometimes it's my glasses, and sometimes it's my TIG fingers. What I forgot this time was the foot pedal. And I can immediately tell that I forgot to turn on the gas. Now I have gas. So that's the tack. Looks like I'm not getting enough gas coverage. So now I'll tack it down here. That tack's okay. I do not trust those tacks to unclamp it, so I'm just going to go ahead and finish up welding this side. I think I ought to be okay because it's clamped. There it was getting too much heat. There's a gap there. Looks like about maybe 4 millimeters. So I actually blew through the tack that I had already made due to excessive heat. So I'll skip around and I'll come up here, I'll do the top, and I'll get all this side pretty much done before I take it out of there. And I see that my tungsten is contaminated at this point. So there's my tungsten stick out. The material got a chance to cool while I was switching out the tungsten. So that's serviceable. I'll keep it going. So there, it's not doing what I want it to do. I was trying to get it to puddle. I was trying to get it to puddle here, and my filler material was not melting to the base metal. So the same thing happened there. I can't, for some reason I'm not getting this to puddle, probably because it's oxidized. So I can't really reach it from this angle, so I'm going to have to truss those tacks and clean it up. And at one point I'm also going to weld the other side. And I'm going to let it cool while it's still in the clamps. I've also managed to contaminate my tungsten again. So that's what it looks like after I ground it down. I cleaned it with acetone. I just have to fill that hole because I want it to penetrate 100% on both sides. So there, I got it. I want to wash that just to make sure it fills all the gaps. So there it is. I see there's still a little crack here, so I'm going to attend to that. So that's a little bit of a cold weld, but I'm sure that it's serviceable. I see there's a little hole here that I'm going to get. So this is what it looks like when I'm done with this side. You can see there about 2/3 the way across I got some penetration through to the other side. That's where it blew the big hole. So now I'm going to hit the inside. So that seems to be serviceable. Kind of a strange looking weld bead. So now I'm going to hit the top and the bottom. So there's the top, and I'm going to have a look at the squareness. The squareness is very good. I kind of got lucky on that one. So this is what I'm welding now. Pretty easy job. So that's what I was trying to do. So there, gravity was playing a big effect. It was, when it was a puddle, it was going downhill. So that seems to be a serviceable tack. It might have a little crack in it. So since this is clamped up and it's still square, I'm going to tack a little more on this side. And I might skip around a little, you know, go here and then here. So that worked nicely. Gravity was a big factor there. So I think I got that part. So now just get the parts that I didn't get. So I'm not getting the best gas coverage, but it's not terrible. So I got this here. I would like to see this tie in right here, but I'll do that from a different angle. And I'm gonna try to get down here, but it's not really the best angle, but I'll just try it anyway since I'm here. So that's pretty good. It was kind of funny with the steel table right there. I see this might be a slightly low point, so I'll just attend to that now. And then I will stand up and get that to tie in. So I like the look of that. That's good for me. And now I've decided that I'm going to make it tie in right here from a different angle. So here how I have it clamped up, the clamps are in my way, but I like it because it's clamped down to the table and the square is in there and it's still perfectly square. So I'm going to weld as much as I can with the pieces clamped down square. I can probably get that toe to tie in from this angle. That worked really nicely getting the toe to tie in. There's where the toe of the weld is tied into the flat bar. Now I'm going to weld the inside. So this is nice because I don't have very many clamps in my way. So that's what that looks like. A little booger there. So it penetrated and we'll call the toe of the weld tied in. So now I'm going to put these two L-shaped pieces together and make a rectangle. And we'll see how perpendicular and flat it is when I'm done. So I've clamped it all down to where it's square and it's very rigid. It's not going anywhere. In order to do that, I had to grind all my welds so that it's flat. so it's clamped flat against the table. So I see that I'm running extremely low on argon in this tank. So you'll see when the argon runs out, I do have an extra tank, and I will just run this tank into the ground, get my money's worth. So that tack, while I like the result, it took a lot longer than necessary, and I was really shaky, and I dipped the tungsten. So I have new tungsten, and there's the stick out. Well, there I was missing my target. I'm going to have to get that from a different angle. I guess I could stand up and try it. I'm trying to have gravity work in my favor, but the puddle is not dropping. Probably because I'm not heating up the base metal. And if this was steel, it would be welded to the table. So believe it or not, I'm actually going to wash it again at the very bottom. Dang, that's a lot of current. That was 210 amps. So I think I can assume that I have fusion there. That is just ugly. Very embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. So I do get a fresh start here on this other side. So that was the end of the argon. When it starts welding so terribly like that, and your tank is reading 0% argon. So I'm going to put in another tank of argon and let the material cool. Okay, so I changed the argon tanks, and I have a new argon tank, 2000 psi. I also sharpened about 5 tungsten that I dipped just today. I've got a fresh tungsten. There's the stick out. I see I'm running out of number 6 cups. The cups ought to last a while. And now what I'm doing is, I see I had missed a spot here, and then I'm doing the top, and I have to weld the top over here, and then I'm going to weld the inside corners, and then this rectangle will be done, and I have to make another one. So I think this is an easy task, right? This weld down here is not tied in. I want it to tie in. I'm not getting the best gas coverage when I'm welding vertical. But that turned out how I wanted it to. It doesn't have any flaws. I'm definitely big on keeping it clamped down flat. Is that a crack? Nope, that's not a crack. This little bit here is what I'm welding now. So that looks pretty good. I think there might be just a little bit of undercut right here. Okay, so that's taken care of. Now I'm going to do the inside corners. I think I can reach in there. I like how that turned out, except I don't see that it's tied in right here at the toe of the weld. So now it's tied in. Got very hot. I'm having a problem. I have pepper in the puddle, and it needs attention here, and my tungsten is smoked. So I'm going to clean that up with a brush and get a new tungsten and see if I can fill those two problem areas. So here's one of the rectangles that I made in the video after being ground down. It has a few flaws. Here there's some undercut. That is ground down too low. Here there's a lack of fusion. Here there's a lack of fusion. I'm not going to work on it anymore because it's strong enough and good enough. I took a rat tail hand file and knocked down the high points. I could have made that perfect in the mill, but might be sacrificing strength a little bit, and I don't care about the weight. So that's part of the box I'm building. Thanks for watching.